Alrighty, guys. Working on the Mercedes outside. I would be working on the Excursion right now, but I noticed we got a little bit of diesel fuel leak down here. You see how wet that is? These return fuel lines are leaking, so I'm gonna replace all of them, and then we should be good to go. You can see this one right here is weeping the most. It's leaking onto the harness, which is running down, leaking onto the cylinder head coolant temperature sensor. But we're gonna leak all these. And a lot of times you'll see when it's running, you'll see some bubbles in that little crack right there where the camera's focused. It'll bubble, and that's just because fuel is running down from these old cracked lines onto that spot on the injector. So we're gonna replace these lines. The leak should go away. If it doesn't, obviously there's more wrong with it, but I'm not seeing any wetness too bad right there where the line, it's just these are leaking. So we're gonna replace them all. It's 1/8 inch line, which is basically 3.2 millimeters. I did get new motor mounts for the car as well. I'll put those in at some point. But yeah, I'll get these lines switched. We're just going to some 1/8 inch SAE. Oh, what is it? 30R7, I think. Yep, SAE 30R7, which is fuel line, rated for 50 PSI for E85 diesel, unleaded, leaded. You can use it on anything, but low pressure application. And these are low pressure because there's not even clamps, they're just bung fittings. So let me get some gloves on. We'll pull all these lines off, and we will measure them, cut them, and we will, we'll just get them replaced. Alrighty, lines have been replaced. You got the fresh hose on there. I didn't put that sheathing on, didn't quite want to sit. The hose is a little bit bigger on the OD than the original. It fits in the clamps just fine though. It's seated down on all the injectors. We just gotta fire it up. And check for leaks. I'm not seeing anything immediately weeping, so the lines are good. I sprayed it down with brake clean, so we will look for more leaks in the near future. But you see that motor mount is junk down there. When I do this, right in there. Watch this. Weeping down here. I had to push the hose on with pliers, so there's a little grease on the pliers. So, yeah. So we'll see how that does. If there's any major leaks in the injector, it'd be spraying out into my face right now, but yeah, we'll see. And that's your emergency shut off. It just is a rod that runs down to the pump and kills fuel. Ooh, I might need a new fan clutch eventually. You can hear that. You can see the movement just a little bit too. See that? So yeah, we'll have to stick a fan clutch on it. Other than that, that was really my only issue with the car. Everything else has been really nice. I do want to go through these other fuel lines eventually, because this is rock hard. And this one is also hard. I did all the fuel lines at the tank at the because they were leaking, all the fuel lines, the 3 fuel lines that go into the tank, but I had to I'll have to replace the last 2, the last couple. I got a couple in here that go to some banjos and the filter. But yeah, we'll have to replace all those just so that those are tip-top shape. All the lines under here are pretty hard, but they're also not leaking. So I mean, as long as they don't leak, it's not an immediate issue. But the thing is, they get hard, then they crack, and they start leaking. Especially when people over tighten hose clamps like that, they really start leaking then. But yeah, we'll be fine. Motor mounts, it's got some oil leaks, got some blow by. This whole car will be gone through eventually when I got the interior to replace all the vacuum hoses and check for the rust. And I patched a little bit on the rocker that needs to be patched. I plan on having the shell and the doors and pretty much the whole car just blasted, and then I will epoxy it. Go through and fill any little imperfections. This car really doesn't have any dents, it's just got crappy paint on it, so we'll epoxy it and then throw some new silver paint on it, black these out, black out these headlight bezels. But that's all further down the line. I want to get the 5-speed swapped into this, and then I have another truck I gotta finish, the F-250. When the F-250 is done, then I want to get another Oldsmobile on the road. I'm thinking the 66 Delta is going to be next after the F-250, but who knows if I'll have time for any of that. Anyways, fuel lines replaced, seems to be doing great. So any other updates on the car, I'll let you guys know.